Thank you, Logan, for sitting down with me today and having this discussion about the important work of volunteers. I am the Community Engagement Officer for the Midwest Innocence Project. Been that since I came home 30 days after. Excited to be in this role. I get to engage with the community, I get to engage with our volunteers, and I get to help continue to raise awareness about this important issue. But we don't get to do that alone. We need partners. We need partners to help us do that. And with Koch Industries Pro Bono Department, we've had the opportunity to get that help. You are one of those volunteers as well, yes?
Yes.
And could you tell me, before we get off into some of the better questions, I would say, how long have you been with Koch and what is your role in the industry?
I have been with Koch Industries for a little over 11 years.
Okay.
Currently, I am the Associate General Counsel for Transactional Management, so do a lot of M&A work and activity, help support various companies throughout Koch Industries. I first got involved in volunteering with the Midwest Innocence Project several years ago. It was a new partnership and a new opportunity that we here within the legal group at Koch were extremely excited about. It's been nothing short of very rewarding work that we've been able to do. And I'm just so excited that you're here today and coming and visiting us and going to speak with larger groups throughout your time here to help spread the word of what you're doing and what the Midwest Innocence Project means.
Yeah, I am excited too. I'm a little giddy, and I am, but I'm also typically not. That I've spoken. You and I talked a little off camera, a lot of places with a lot of different crowds. But I'm really excited about the partnership between the Midwest Innocence Project and Koch Industries, because the underlying connecting point of helping, of helping innocent men and women who are languishing in prison, innocent men and women just like myself, who gets the opportunity to finally come home. It was exciting for me to come here as well, because it's not every day that people get to meet an exoneree. It's not every day that people get to see the fruits of their labor. It's not every day that people get to see why they should perhaps get involved. Let's hope that after our sit down today and others viewing, that they would want to feel like they need to get involved. Did you ever do any other volunteer work prior to doing it here at Koch Industries?
I've done different types of volunteer work throughout, my life, high school, college, after college, and as a professional. I have not, until getting engaged with the Midwest Innocence Project and some of our local expungement drives I was telling you about. I had not participated in any sort of criminal justice reform volunteer work. So this has been relatively new opportunity for me, and one which I'm thrilled to be able to participate in.
Now, Logan, let me ask you this question. What have you found to be most rewarding about this type of volunteer work?
The most rewarding was probably my example of a couple of the expungement drives that we've done, and actually getting to meet with the individuals that I was assisting, understanding kind of their situation, their background, how they came to be in a situation with a record that they weren't proud of, and that happened a long time ago, frankly, and hearing how that one mistake had held them back in their lives of being able to have certain jobs or apply for things in the world, and being able to assist them with getting those I would call them mistakes removed off their record, and how fulfilling that was for them. And how excited they were about what opportunities that might open up for them.
Yeah, I can definitely see that being rewarding. For me, helping other innocent individuals come home, helping raise the level of awareness about wrongful convictions, I believe it's a crisis here in America. So I can connect with that, even though our answers are different, and many of our answers might be different, but they all connect at a middle section, an intersection, if you will, because we get to participate in helping to make a difference in other people's lives other than ourselves. That's noble, and that's the best of human mankind, in my opinion. You know, Koch Industries has led the way, I personally feel, has led the way in this America, in this country that we know, in many different spaces. And I just feel like you all continue to take the lead, if you will, in this space as well. I'm not sure that there are other companies that are as heavily involved or heavily invested in the work of criminal justice reform and helping bring in innocent people home. How does that feel to you, knowing that you all have taken the lead in many different areas and many different industries, and that it appears that you're still taking the lead when it comes to social economic issues?
It's a real good feeling to work for a company that is out there and standing for principles that are helping other individuals, and not just talking about it from a kind of a mouthpiece standpoint or because they think they should as a corporate responsibility, but they really mean it. And that's what is exciting about these efforts, that we just are servants and able to come and assist these various organizations like the Midwest Innocence Project that are just doing such amazing things for individuals like yourself and others, and many more to come, I hope. There's a lot of case screenings we've got to get through, so we need more firepower.
Yeah, definitely. The cavalry needs to increase and continue to come. Logan, let me ask you this next question. Have you ever had the opportunity to meet an exoneree prior to today?
No, you're the first.
Wow, okay. And now let me ask you this. How, or help us, or walk us through, rather, what that feels like to you.
Well, it's an inspiration, quite frankly. I mean, you're the example of what can happen with the Midwest Innocence Project and the work that goes into reviewing these cases and trying to help individuals like yourself who have had all these wrongs perpetrated against them. That's why I'm so excited that you're here to talk with the other attorneys, because it's that example of the case screening process and how important it is. They're not all going to turn into exonerations, but just that one chance that it could and could result in a situation like yourself of being freed after being wrongly convicted, incarcerated since 1996, and that's a lot, like you said, half of your life behind bars. So for me, it is I'm just thrilled that you're here. And I think it's going to make a huge impact on the rest of the attorneys, because we have, there's a lot of I would call it unworked cases out there that we need to get more people involved in to get through so we can work them.
Yeah, you know, excuse me, I'm thinking about the time that I was there, at certain points feeling hopeless, wondering when will the cavalry come and what will that cavalry look like. And I can't help but believe strongly that without the MVPs, we call them MVPs, most valuable people, who are the volunteers. Without them, I don't think I would be sitting here. I don't think you and I would be having this discussion, because it wasn't a dollar amount that I had to come up. And it wasn't a dollar amount that these organizations necessarily have in their budget. It just wouldn't be there. It is the sacrifice and volunteer work of individuals who's willing to say, hey, there's a problem here, or let's even see if there's a problem here. But we have to at least see. And so I really appreciate the partnership with the Midwest Innocence Project and Koch Industries for saying, let's bring as many people on board to see what's going on here, and at certain times have the unique opportunity to help bring an individual home like myself. So I really appreciate you and the whole team for the work that you do. I know that other individuals is going to come home because of your work. I have no question about that. And so I just want to encourage you all to continue to do the great things that you are doing. That also leads me to my next question, Logan. Do you see yourself continuing this work? And if so, what would you say is your personal motivation?
For sure, see myself continuing to do the work. We've had the opportunity to take on additional case screenings and assessments, which I've done. In fact, what I'm most excited about is our partnership that we've created with some of our outside law firms. We call them our panel firms, and we have a lot of interest from these panel firms that are mainly large law firms with lots of individuals that are extremely interested in helping out and have not been given the opportunity to partner with an organization like the Midwest Innocence Project before. And these firms are all over the country. And we are partnering with them and individuals, and we're creating teams. So the daunting task of, looking through a case file and solo on your own and reading everything and trying to do the analysis is better when it's done by a team. I've done it both ways, and I have seen the benefits of partnering with other individuals to get different perspectives on the reading of the case file and the facts, and I think you can get a more tangible and a better product and a better screen accomplished. You also, with the teamwork, can digest the information a little more quickly. It's not as daunting, and you can get through more case screenings, and that's what we need to do in order to get and uncover those that we need to pay more attention to.
Yeah, my friend Logan, listening audience, I'm really excited. Not just to be here on the campus at Koch Industries, not just to be talking to you and a couple other volunteers, not just to be talking to the many volunteers who we will speak to tomorrow, but what you're talking is a key part to the solution. It is a key part, and this is something that we really can do. This is something that we really can do when we understand how it can be done. I want to let you know that the National Registry of Exoneration have reported that about 2,800, that number moves a little bit, and I haven't looked at it here recently. I was 2,510. But about 27 to 2,800 individuals have come home since 1989, believed to be innocent. There are certain prerequisites that need to take place for them to even be counted on the registry. But there's also a number that 2 to 5% of the U.S. prison population is believed to be innocent. Even if we go to the most conservative side, which I tend to like to, just to keep everything in perspective, you're still talking about 115,000 individuals. That is a lot. That is a lot of individuals. And I really want you to ask yourself, when we say that in 31 years, since 1989, that only 2,700 people have come home, and there's 115,000 continuing to languish, how many more? That means it would take another if we doubled the numbers that we have seen on record to 5,000, a little over 5,000, how long would it still take to bring those innocent men and women home? And what type of mobilization will it require? You just spoke to that. You just spoke real intelligent and rationale as it relates to what type of team is going to take, what type of efforts is going to take to try to help eradicate wrongful convictions here in America.
Yeah, and I think we're going to need a larger mobilization, to your point, but I also think we're going to need to hit on reform in the process from a judicial system.
Yes.
But why is it taking so long to review these cases? And even in a case like yours that I was reading up on before we were talking today, I can't even comprehend you called it perseverance. I call it patience. I think it's probably a combination of both. But you know that you're innocent, and you're filing papers with the court in 2013 to ask for a DNA test. It takes them 3 years before they'll even allow the test to go forward, and then another 3 years before you're released. I mean, I think that in and of itself is just a microcosm of how we've got to get additional change on the fundamentals of the review process in the system.
Yeah, that is important and that is accurate, by the way. And that is a problem. I lost 11 times total before I won my very last final appeal. My very last final appeal. My fear is some people are losing their final appeal because of the bureaucracy and red tape. And so we can't just look at, I'm glad you said that. We can't just look at the volunteer work part of it. We got to look at the policy reform as well. When I came home August 15, 2019, it was in March that I went to testify to lawmakers in Missouri about compensation. I knew that we have to tackle this from the point of view of getting in, helping proving these cases of innocence, but also have an opportunity to sit down intelligently and discuss what policy reform looks like as well. I think they go hand in hand, and I'm glad you brought it up. I want to ask you this question, just a couple more, and I'll let you go. If you had to speak to someone who was not, who is thinking about becoming involved in volunteer work, but have not decided to become involved in volunteer work, look in the camera and speak to them today for me, Logan.
Well, I would say to you that it's of critical importance that you're spending some of your time to volunteer and help out in this cause. Ricky, you just went through a number of statistics on the numbers of people that are wrongly convicted and are imprisoned. And the least we can do is give some of our time to review some of these cases and help out in the efforts to free wrongly convicted individuals.
I second that. Yeah. If it was not for your work, if it was not for the MVPs, the most valuable people, which are volunteers, I would not be sitting with you in front of this camera today. My wife would not be sitting off camera to my right. My 5-month baby, Harmony Justice, would not be waiting for mom and daddy to come home from this important trip. And so I just want you to know that your volunteer work, your sacrifice, and your time can produce a result, and we need you, and we certainly appreciate you for those who've already decided to do the work. Is there anything else before we go? Is there any last comments that you would like to share, Logan?
No, I want to commend you and thank you for the role that you're playing for the Midwest Innocence Project. I think it is of critical importance that you are out there in the communities doing, I know it's tiring, you've done 70 speaking engagements since you've been released, but I think it is important if we're talking about building that bench and the volunteers that are necessary to do this work, hearing your story, seeing a real life example of how this has played out for someone, I think is going to be the world to get folks motivated and inclined to help volunteer. Yeah. So I want to thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you as well. It goes back, that thank you has some reciprocal components to it. So thank you. Right back to you, Logan.